What's up, guys? We analyze NIO stock's recent 17% decline due to major news. NIO is issuing $1 billion in convertible senior notes to address its cash flow challenges. We assess the pros and cons of this decision and its relationship to the upcoming FOMC meeting. Additionally, we examine NIO current technical trends and potential price scenarios. I want to talk about NIO stock. This thing is down about 17% for the day after some huge news came out and broke down. What's going on with NIO new convertible notes? What this means for the company? Why on earth this could lead to some possible dilution in the future, and what this means for the share price moving forward. So let's talk about NIO. I'm also going to talk about why tomorrow is going to be another big day as we have the FOMC meeting. To very briefly break down the future of NIO after what was just announced. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with NIO stock. NIO is down 17.07% for the day, taking on massive hits, and this is because of some big news that just came out. So this article from The Motley Fool explains everything very well. I want to actually share this with you. So going down, what happened to NIO? We dropped about 17.07%, giving back 10.4% of its market capitalization in just the morning alone. It also started dropping yesterday during the after hours as many people knew what was going on. So what happened? Why didn't you drop? Well, it is announced that NIO is planning to offer $500 million worth of convertible senior notes due 2029 and further $500 million. $500 million worth of convertible senior notes due in 2030. So it's basically two of these $500 million convertible notes, which are worth $1 billion. So what does this mean? Well, convertible means that these notes can potentially be converted into NIO stock. Basically, that is what is going on here. NIO is taking on $1 billion in new debt in a bid. So taking on $1 billion in debt in a bid to raise cash to fund its cash bonfire of negative free cash flow. And the company is giving its investors basically the option to acquire even more notes. And that could lead to more debts, which could be as high as $1.15 billion USD. So what's the good and bad in this, right? The good news and bad news here is that once again, this could lead to more cash that they could use in the meantime before they become profitable in the future. But it may take them a while to become truly and more consistently profitable. This is also going to be helping them to roll over their old debts so they can use part of it to refinance, do things like that. This could help further strengthen its balance sheet as time goes on. So this is good for the short term, but there is one issue. The bad news is that the convertible debt like this may end up being converted into NIO shares, thus diluting NIO existing shareholders out of a part of their ownership in the interest of the company. So this is similar, and this could likely lead to, it probably will in my opinion, lead to dilution, and for that reason, NIO is going to take off debt so that it could leverage itself, but the cost of that would be possibly diluting. Now NIO has some losses, $2.1 billion in losses with some negative free cash flow. But we knew this talking about this company, and we know that as time goes on, NIO is going to need more time to become profitable. NIO has to find a way to earn a profit from selling EVs, and it will happen in the future. I still am very confident in this, but NIO needs more time to achieve this, so what are they doing for the short term? They're giving themselves more leverage. They're trying to refinance their debt, do things like that with the convertible senior notes. But what's not so good about that is this could lead to a massive dilution for the company if we end up seeing the conversion to the shares. And this could lead to, the current owners losing a part of their ownership because of NIO dilution. So that is not so great news in a way. It's like good and bad in a way, but also not good at the same time because it kind of tells us that NIO is in a tough place, how desire is affecting them, not to mention the fact that they're not truly profitable just yet. But think NIO has the potential to do the same thing. It's just that they're going to need a lot of time. They're going to need, years, but it's going to be worth it at the end in my opinion. But you will see because there is still a lot of upside potential in the market. As a reminder, at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Time, we have some very big data coming out. The Fed interest rate hike decision's coming out tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Time in New York time. Then at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the Fed press conference. This is when the Fed is going to have Jerome Powell giving his speech. Okay, so I want everyone to be prepared for this. This is going to be very important. Now, if you look at CPI, you will see there has been a slight increase in CPI for all items, despite the fact that core is still in a downtrend. Futures did slow down a bit as we're very apprehensive and uncertain about what the Fed is going to do, but the data suggests that there's a 99% chance the Fed is going to pause or skip during this next rate hike. And even if they do skip, there's a risk of them raising rates again in the future. There's always the possibility of it if the Fed ends up having to do. So could the Fed skip? They're most likely going to skip. But Jerome Powell, during his speech, he may say things about what on earth is going on, and if the Fed is going to raise rates again. Now NIO stock has ended up sinking after a $1 billion worth of planned convertible debt offering. This is going to help them. It's going to get them into more debt. If anything, would help them refinance and do all those things. This is very important. It's going to improve their balance sheet to some extent. But like I said before, could lead to dilution, and it could be like a last-ditch effort to try to improve their balance sheet. So not the best of signs that some people would be looking at. Deutsche Bank was still saying you should buy NIO. The price ratio is dropping. Its new is losing strength. It looks very weak right now. And on top of this, not a whole lot else went on with it. Looking at some more down, if you could see, the volume is about 214 million. This was still very high volumes of big crash on high volume. It looks very weak, so on the 4-hour time frame we just sold off. There's no true sign of a balance. We actually went down to 7.5 in the after hours. We're trying to make our way back up. NIO is very, very oversold on the 4-hour. So we're going to be observed to see if this thing trying to get a rebound. I'm hoping that this thing tries to base very soon, but it may not be done just yet. We're going to be discussed to see if this thing can come down to $8. There is a risk of it coming down to 8 first beforehand if we end up losing 8.5. So if we watch 8.5 very carefully, if that breaks, I think $8 could come before this thing bounces, and then if you look, you can see NIO only trading sideways. It all depends on different factors. It might still trade very sideways around this low 8 area. Then we might see a little balance with the rate hike decision coming up. We could get very close to like 9 or at least 8.5, depending on how low we are to start with. And then when Jerome Powell gives his speech, if he pumps the markets, NIO could try to get back above $9. If he causes the market to get rug pulled, NIO sink even lower into the $8 area, if not 7.75. All right, so this is what we are looking at for the markets. Tomorrow, we're going to trade sideways first. Then the rate hike decision comes out at 2. The market may pump off. That spike can go to 445, depending on where we are, and then when Jerome Powell gives his speech, he may pump the market more or he could cause the rug pull. It all depends on Jerome Powell. At 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so NIO, I know it's a little green in the after hours, but that doesn't guarantee anything just yet. We have to see how it opens. Just like how yesterday during the after hours it started selling off a little bit. It did sell off here. But there are other instances where like kind of pushed into after hours before coming back down. So we have to be careful. We'll see what happens from here. There is a risk of it either bouncing off 8.5 or it could come down to the low 8 and then try to bounce. Then we should see some sideways price action, possibly a pump after the rate hike decision, close to $9 or so, or even 8.5, depending on how low we are. And then it cools off a little bit. Jerome Powell gives a speech and we'll see what Jerome Powell causes. If Powell causes a big pump, NIO could pump back close to $9. If he gives us the rug pull, NIO could get very close to 7.9. So that's what I have for this video. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more stock predictions and market insights. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Happy investing and see you in the next video.